I am worthy. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the D Struggles YouTube channel. I'm your host D, and today we're going to be working on a 2006 Dodge Ram 1500. All right, so what we're going to be doing to this Dodge Ram 1500, we're going to be changing out the front CV axle and the CV intermittent shaft because everything's all loose and floppy, and I'm thinking the splines wore out. It's pretty common on these Dodge Rams. See that there? Get under here a little better. Yeah, this is common on these Dodge Rams for this to happen, and it typically just happens to the right side, the passenger side. I don't know why, but yeah, we're changing the CV axle, the intermittent shaft that goes into here, and the seal right here on the outside. Oh crap, looks like we got us a coolant leak too. 2 coolant leaks actually. Looks like we got one here on this hose, and also looks like I have another coolant leak here. Well, that's some content for a future video, I guess. First, what we're gonna do is get this thing put up on a jack stand. Now that we got that on a jack stand, all right, now that we got the truck secured up on a jack stand, we have to remove the wheel here. So I typically use a impact gun. I mean, you can use a breaker bar or one of these T-bars, but yeah, for 50 bucks at Harbor Freight, yeah, this thing packs a punch, and it'll save you on, yeah, killing yourself trying to get these lug nuts off. Ah, crap. I forgot to run an extension cord. I got an idea. Oh yeah. All right, now that we got all the lug nuts off, the hell? All right, let's try this. We got the wheel off. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this bolt off for the CV. I'm going to take the 2 bolts out for this caliper, set it to the side. Probably just grab me like a 5-gallon bucket upside down and place it on there and get it out of the way. Yeah, we got to disconnect the, what is that, ABS wire coming up over here so that don't get snagged and yanked on. And take this bolt out and pop this bolt joint up, and the tie rod end as well. Pop that tie rod end out, and yeah, hopefully I can leave the bottom bolt joint, and yeah, just pull this to me and then finagle the CV axle out of the hub, and then yeah, be able just to pop it out. Quick tip here, usually back in the day I would take long screwdrivers, pry bars, tire irons like this one here, and I would sit here and I'd pry this caliper out of here. But I found it's very easy if you have yourself a nice big C-clamp here. You can just set it up here like this and compress that piston on a little bit, just like that. And yeah, this caliber usually will come right off very easily, just like that. Oh, yeah, I guess I got to do the top a little bit, but yeah, you get the point. You just compress it in. Maybe I should have turned it a little more, but yeah, you get the point. I'm not the strongest person, even though I got the power of door. But yeah, in like situations like this, you know, you got your ratchet here set up, and sometimes you need a little leverage to crack some nuts bolt. I always keep cut pieces of pipe laying around. This way it can help me out and loosening this without me blowing out my back or my shoulder or my arm. I keep many of them actually. I got another 2 over here. I try to keep them around for different sizes, just depending on what I'm doing. Alright, one of the tricks also is you find one of these spots here, like where this tie rod end goes into the mount here, whatever it's called. I usually smack the side of it. This is stuff that I learned. Give it a little beating. Just kind of shocks it loose. Sometimes it'll just pop out. Other times I'll smack the side and then whack the bottom to kind of like knock it free. But you also got to watch out. Like this is actually tapered down, this tie rod end. So this nut will come off. Some of these tie rod ends don't have it tapered down like that. So when you smash the bottom, it could mess up the threads and then you won't be able to get the bolt on or off. So, you know, keep that into consideration. Like this one here, see how it doesn't have that little tapered end that sticks down? So, yeah, so I'm gonna do the same thing on this one, smash it here, and then what I'm gonna do here is, if I have to whack it upward, I'm gonna keep this nut down low. Actually, I'm gonna turn this nut around so it doesn't have these weaker gap spots. That's why I'm whacking on a flat surface. Just like this, I get it where, see the bottom, so you want to turn it where it's just, there you go. This way you're not hitting that, you're hitting the nut. Sometimes you don't have to hit the nut, just slam it on the side here, may shock it loose. A little bit of both. Give it a little smack on the side, and then give it a little tap on the bottom, and we popped it free. Now to release those ball joints and tie rod end, you can also use these kind of forks here, but I found 9 times out of 10 this will destroy the rubber boot on the ball joint or the tie rod end. So yeah, I try not to use them. If I don't, I try using the hammer trick by smacking it, shocking it, and then, you know, tapping it loose. Now we're gonna get the big bolt off for the CV axle. Now when I go to Harbor Freight, you know, I bought this impact gun. I mean, it's great. Like I said, it was only like 50 bucks. And then Harbor Freight has, you know, you can get a bunch of impact sockets too, you know, that which are, you know, various sizes. And for some reason they skip certain sizes, but I don't think Harbor Freight have these like a big specialty socket you have to get sometimes. Like in this one particularly, for that is a where is it? Yeah, I think that says 1 3/8. Y'all can see that? Yeah. And then you want to get the reducer as well. So these are things I've learned in the past. I've went ahead and tried to do this job in the past. Got to this point where I didn't have a socket to go in there, and then I had to put the whole thing on hold and set me back hours or sometimes a day or so, you know, and then happen to go find these things. So yeah, so it's always good to do your research, you know, get your socket, get your adapter. This way you can get it on your impact gun or your breaker bar or whatever you got to do. Also, another thing in this case, when you're taking CV axles out, regardless what kind of vehicle you're working on, it's always good to clean up the threads with like a wire brush or something. This way when you're taking that nut off, it doesn't have any chance of binding and stripping out. You know, sometimes you're reusing them. For in this case, I'm not reusing this CV axle, and it came with a new nut, the new CV axle that I got. So, but in some cases, you know, you're taking apart and putting the same old stuff back together. And in the past, I've done that. I stripped out the threads on the axle, and I had to get a whole new axle because of that. Also, not a bad idea to spray a little penetrating spray on there too, so you also guaranteed it comes off smoothly without binding. Bada bang, bada boom. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I am hoping I don't have to pull off that bottom ball joint. If I do, whatever, but it'd be nice if I didn't. And I didn't. Awesome. Alright, so to get the CV axle off of the spline here, I found you take a hammer here and you hit the edge, and usually you'll be able to knock it off. Just like that. Bam. Yeah, there's a little a locking ring right here that clips the CV axle onto the spline. Alright, now that we got it all apart, we got to get these 4 bolts out, and those are bolts that hold the seal on, the shaft seal. Then once we get those bolts out, we should be able to pop out the intermittent shaft itself. Now I cracked these loose with a wrench, and then I'm taking my impact here, and I'm riding it the rest of the way. Now since I separated this stuff, this lump of grease on here has been staring me in the face while I've been trying to work over here. And yeah, I'm lucky so far. I haven't got it all over my sleeves or anything, so I could wipe it off, but instead I'm just gonna take this bag here and bam, now I don't have to worry about it. All right, so now that we got the bolts out of there, I'm looking at this and it's pretty oiled up and, you know, mucked up, so I want to kind of clean off around it before I crack that open, because I don't want any of that muck and crap going inside the unit. So to clean up around there, you could buy products like this, degreaser, or use carbon choke cleaner or brake cleaner, stuff like that. But me, I particularly like to use, to be conservative and you don't have to spend a lot of money buying these cans over and over again. You get your coffee can, a parts wash brush, and literally just a little bit of gas on the bottom of the can. And I lay down some cardboard there, and yeah, we just go at brushing that off with this. Just be safe. This is gas and very flammable, so, you know, try not to be smoking or making any sparks or anything like that, so it doesn't catch on fire. Also, I listened to my uncles. They said great grandpa used to say, use the noggin. So they also lived in the Depression, from what I heard. So, you know, you can conserve on buying bunches of rags by recycling and repurposing your old clothes like socks and t-shirts and stuff like that. So yeah, a little gas in a coffee can with the parts wash brush, and yeah, you just clean it right up. And then all the excess gas and stuff that you're brushing off falls on the cardboard that you placed beneath here. This way, you know, if you got a nice driveway or you're working in somebody else's driveway, you don't get a bunch of gas and grease and muck, you know, on the driveway. You can see how the cardboard caught the gas and a lot of the muck and stuff. And now we can remove the intermittent shaft. There we go. All right, we got it. Yeah, see, I was going hard on this one side. Yeah, just evenly do it. That's what I just learned. You know, I went crazy over here and bent that up, which I should have just, you know, gradually did each side, worked it out, and then, yeah, seems to pop right out. Look at that. Awesome. Oh man, the race is still in there. There we go. It's the race for the bearing. That's it. So it's time to do a quick overlook of the replacement parts that we ordered. So the first one I ordered was the A1 Cardone front right CV intermittent shaft, which was $108.97. You see the date there, I literally ordered that a year ago. The second part I ordered was the shaft seal for $23.73, which is a genuine Mopar part. And the last part I ordered was the CV axle, which was literally a couple days ago, which was $57.94. So again, all this was eBay purchases. Just a click away to getting them if you're doing this job yourself. Yeah, that's the difference between these two. And even though this is like this, I guess they just made it differently to save on material because it was unnecessary. You can see here where the wear only goes to there anyway, so that's why they didn't put the rest of the spline pieces on this one. But yeah, that's the part number and the box that it came in for the intermittent shaft. And then for the shaft seal, there's the part number and the bag it came in. And then for the CV axle, yeah, I think that's the part number there, and the description and the price I paid for it. Again, I got all this off of eBay, and then you can see how nice the splines are in here and fresh, opposed to how wore out they got over time. And the same thing on this one here, how nice and thick and meaty the new one is, and how that other one's kind of wore down. Which, I mean, this don't look so bad, the intermittent shaft, opposed to this seems more wore out than that intermittent shaft does. But yeah, we'll even, you know, let's see here, slide that in a little, and you can still see how wobbly it is. So all this stuff wears out together. It's even worse in there. And then we can put this new one in here, and look how tight that is. So awesome. This is gonna fix our problem right up. All right, so let's reinstall this, the hell's it called again? Intermittent shaft, shaft seal, and CV axle. I love you. This is Project Dad's Last Dream supercar build. Before Dad passed, he had one last dream, and I would like to finish it. So, if you'd like to see Dad's last dream thrive, please hit subscribe. And if you want to show you care, like, comment, and share. Alright, now before we stick the intermittent shaft in here, I'm just sticking my finger in here because there is a pilot bearing that the end of the shaft slips into. So, I mean, it feels pretty good. First, I'm going to wipe this out a little bit. Then we're going to take the wire wheel, clean up the edge, the surface here. Yeah, this bearing's nice. It comes pre-packed. You can see the grease in there. And then all you do is just slide it right up in there. Usually, some of these seals you have to put some kind of sealant, but this already has pre-sealant on it. If you can see that orange ring going around it. And this was probably never going to be taken off again. This truck has 298,000 miles on it. So, but you know, we do get snow once in a while out here, and you know, there's some mountains sometimes. And my yard gets muddy in the rain, so I'll get stuck in my own yard. So I need the full-wheel drive. It's nice to have. Now, typically when you put seals in like this, there's usually not bolts that go around it. They usually just kind of smack in, and then usually the axle or something holds it in. This one, yeah, has these bolts all the way around it. So, you know, I don't know if I can actually drive this thing down with the bolts. I mean, this thing feels pretty thick. You know, might be able to. Just turning one by one, but typically you use like a pipe or something that goes over here, and then you seat it down that way. But I mean, this plate seems so thick that I feel like I can use the bolts, just tightening them little by little and driving it down that way. So we're gonna try it this way, just turning each one a little bit, pushing it down, which feels like it's working right now. So can get a good look from here too to see if it's bending it, and keeping it even as I'm doing it, turning each one little by little, and it seems like it's seating it down nicely without having to do the pipe trick. And lastly, we just got to slide this back in. There we go, right on there. Get a nice jolt. That's why it popped it over the ring and got it locked into place now. And we're gonna finagle her back where she goes. Now we got to reconnect the ball joint, so now I can wipe this grease off while I'm pulling this baggie off, and now I can push this back down, which I can't do holding the camera. There we go. Got that pushed in and threaded on a little bit. Pop my tie rod back into place. Put my tie rod bolt back on. Alrighty. So now I used the impact gun to tighten it down. This is supposedly a 250 foot-pound impact gun, and I drive this all the way. I drive this nut down all the way with it, and then hold it for a second, and I make sure that it doesn't spin. Yeah, and I put the original nut back on. I prefer that one from the new one they give you. That's just my preference. I mean, you can do what you want if you're doing this job. So it seems we got everything back together, but I always do like a double, triple check just to make sure, you know, I go over everything and, you know, make sure I tighten it all. All I got left to do is to put this wheel back on. Yeah, and I'm not going to go over doing that. I'm sure if you guys made it this far or looked this video up and watched it to do this job, I'm sure as shit you know how to put a wheel on. So, yeah, the only other thing I have to do right now is, yeah, fill that axle up with some fluid. Because, yeah, if you can tell before when we were putting it in, it had all that grease and oil buildup around it. It was leaking out of the seal. So, yeah, and I've had this truck for like 4 or 5 years. And that seal has been leaking since I've owned it, and that axle was actually loose like that since I've owned it, but it's got worse over the years. So yeah, so every year I'd actually go under here before the first snowing, because this truck actually came from Long Island, New York, and I used to plow snow with it. So every year before it would snow, or right when the first snow would start, I would get under here and fill up that axle with the fluid every year. So yeah, I haven't used this truck to plow with, and it's been here in North Carolina for the past like year or so now, so I didn't have to do that last year. So I figured I'd take the time, go ahead and fix the axle, put the new seal on, and then yeah, hopefully I won't have to keep refilling this thing up every year since you know, I fixed it now. But the other side eventually is going to need a new seal. The shaft and everything seems real tight over there, but I think I can see the seal has got a little bit of wetness on it. You know, a little bit of oil's coming out, very, very little. So eventually I'm going to have to do the seal on that side. But again, the axle seems fine, and the shaft seems fine on that side. It'll just be the seal I'll have to do. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and throw this wheel on. And remember, you are worthy. Alright guys, Happy New Year. Today's New Year's Day. Yeah, we filmed this video yesterday on New Year's Eve. Yeah, I didn't plan on doing any car videos, you know, from Christmas till now, but I got that axle in like a day or two ago, and yeah, I wasn't doing anything. Wifey was at work, so I figured hell with it, throw it in real quick. Yeah, I feel like I'm lying to y'all, keep telling you, yeah, we're putting this cash can in, but it's coming. It's coming. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, I really wasn't planning on doing any mechanical work until after New Year's. But hope y'all enjoyed the video. Threw a little Thor theme in there. You know, figured it'd be cool. Yeah, y'all let me know if you like it. I'm probably gonna be doing a little bit more. These car videos, I don't know, it's starting to bore me. It's just the same process, you know, editing these videos and whatnot. But so I figured I'd spice it up a little bit. But yeah, hope y'all had a nice New Year's. Peace and love, and I'll see y'all on the next one.